We are GOLDIVY.
Our mission is to empower you to own and unleash your truth.
Stories of resiliency are gold, and ivy grows in hard places.
Those hard places are what creates space for light to shine through.
You decide what works for your daily life and how to transform our lessons into your gold.
This is Ivy Unleashed,
a GOLDIVY production.
Today's episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Every episode of Ivy Unleashed is dedicated to empowering you to take ownership of your health. And what it really comes down to is prioritizing your mental health.
We've both seen the beauty and growth that therapy can bring and are thrilled to partner with BetterHelp to allow you the opportunity to feel heard and seen by a professional. The National Alliance on Mental Health reports that 155 million people live in a designated mental health professional shortage area, and BetterHelp is working to close that gap.
I've personally used BetterHelp and loved it because it was all online, making it super convenient. The biggest piece for me was how affordable it is. I was able to choose the therapist that met my needs. I came in with wanting to work on childhood trauma and anxiety, and it was unbelievable to see how many options I had with all the different backgrounds of therapists.
With BetterHelp, you have access to a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness. And sometimes we can't see our own patterns and behaviors until we talk them out and get an unbiased perspective.
It's really nice to have someone who doesn't know you and has the professional background to help you thrive in your daily life. It has made the world of a difference with every relationship in my life, including the one with myself.
To get started, all you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire about your needs and preferences and choose your therapist out of the options they give you. You can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. Also, you can switch therapists at no additional charge until you find the right fit for you.
The best investment you can make is in yourself. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/goldivy. That's betterhelp.com/goldivy.
Take the first step to inner peace and freedom today. You all know we're always sharing our favorite items that improve our health and help us feel better. So wait until you hear about this. Nano Fit Water.
Nano Fit Water is alkaline water, which means it helps neutralize the acid in your body. It's triple filtered, which reduces unwanted chemicals and toxins. It's supercharged with nanotized oxygen, which hydrates the body at a cellular level. And it's all natural, meaning there are zero additives or artificial flavors.
My biggest reason for adding NanoFit into my routine is for the performance and recovery benefits. As a runner, a faster pace and quicker recovery is what I'm after, and this water is a game changer. I feel better before, during, and after both cardio and strength training with the added oxygen and hydration benefits.
And I'm here for the gut health and skin benefits. Alkaline water has colon cleansing properties, reduces the acid in my body, and the fact that NanoFit water is triple filtered, it's going to help with my gut health. And when my gut is on point, so is my skin.
I'm against the waste of standard plastic water bottles, but NanoFit water is in 100% eco-friendly aluminum bottles that are shipped to your door by Amazon, taking the shopping hassle out. No more water bottles taking up a ridiculous amount of space in your cart or having to carry the heavy weight into your car and home.
You're about to see NanoFit everywhere. They're in Starbucks, Kroger, hospitals, and making their way to stores near you. We're thrilled to share its health benefits with you today, so you can ship NanoFit water right to your door.
NanoFit's mission is to help you feel better, function better, and sleep better, which we all want. So head on over to nanofitwater.com to order your case. It'll ship through Amazon, and use code GOLDIVY for a discount.
Fit your lifestyle with NanoFit water. And now to this episode of the Ivy Unleashed podcast. Welcome to the Ivy Unleashed podcast. We are so grateful you are tuning in today. Today, we are talking about something that we can't advocate for enough. It is something that has made the world of a difference for both Andrew and I's mental health, and that is the beauty of therapy.
Yes. I love getting the inside scoop. Like when people online will say lessons from therapy and they'll like share something, I'm like, yes. Because all you want are like ways to improve how you feel. And if someone's asking a deep, dark question that you want to know the answer to, it's like extra juicy. So we want to share our juicy tips, very vulnerable, personal things we've talked about in therapy. And hopefully it's helpful for you too, because why not? Why not hear what we're learning? And I'm curious to hear what you have to say today too.
Yeah, I feel like growing up, I didn't even hear of therapy. No one around me was in therapy. Should have been, but weren't.
You didn't have to do like counseling in grade school because your parents were divorced?
Mm-mm.
Wow. It was like mandatory for us. It was like the banana split club. Like your parents were split.
So they singled you out.
So like 5 of us kids like went to it, like between all the classrooms, there was like 5 of us because it wasn't, very common. And the counselor would like talk to us and we would talk about divorce, and basically they were like trying to normalize it for us so we didn't feel weird, but it also felt very weird to have to leave your classroom.
I'll take all of you with me that don't have a mom and dad that are married.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting.
So counseling, I feel like as a kid, I heard of counseling.
I heard of counseling too, yeah. And maybe I had to do it, but I don't remember it. I feel like I don't remember a lot of things from my childhood, which is just like a trauma defense that I'm learning through therapy, or have learned, I should say. But no, I think it was just, that was my reality. Mm-hmm. My parents were divorced. I didn't know anything different. I was 1, not even, I think, when my parents were divorced.
Oh, I didn't realize you were that young.
Yeah. So I just grew up and it was normal. Yeah. I knew of people that had divorced parents.
And for a while you went back and forth until your dad didn't like pick you up anymore or talk to you, right?
Until I didn't have a dad. Yeah. Yeah. Until late elementary school. It was every other weekend. Mm. So it wasn't like I didn't have either parent in my life growing up to a certain age. And I feel like my mom did the best she could talking about the situation. It was a situation no one should have to deal with, especially as a mother trying to explain, like, I don't know why your dad doesn't want to talk to you. Mm-hmm. He's hurting. And so I think money probably played a role in therapy, or just like the resources my mom had available. Mm-hmm. Until I hit a certain age, I didn't really realize the effect that it had on me, right? I didn't realize until I needed it mm-hmm. when my body really collapsed and I learned about trauma and the mind and the subconscious and how much holding on to that makes us sick. Mm-hmm. And so I got sick, and then I said, oh, okay, I should probably talk to someone about everything I've been holding on to.
Yeah, I think people really have that disconnect of something's wrong with how I feel, I'm anxious, or my gut health is off, and there's that disconnect thinking it couldn't be something that happened when I was a child, or like, but it's all connected. And I think that's tough because some people, I'm sure a lot of people know there's some deep-rooted issues mm-hmm. here that I've never addressed. I've never talked to anybody about it. And it's overwhelming to think of going back to that space. You want to think, oh, I'm moving forward. I'm not a victim mm-hmm. of my past, but every therapist will tell you that your past defines your future, right? And if you can't figure out without masking with alcohol or a different substance, Zach Williams, who is going to be on the podcast soon, he talks about how if you allow yourself to kind of unmask, or like you get to the roots of the mechanics of like, how can I not stay in the same cycle of having to use substances to deal with my anxiety or deal with my depression or deal with the trauma from my childhood, right? You want to be able to turn your brain off. But in reality, you're having the same cycle over and over. So if you can uncover how it's affected you and then come up with a plan to help you moving forward, like that's what a therapist's job is like they're there to help guide you and just uncover some things that are limiting you, right? We all have this potential. And I feel like a therapist is like an angel on earth. They've done a lot of research in order to get to where they are on how the brain works. And they've heard a million stories and they've seen a lot of successes. So they know firsthand how to help you get through it, what might work for you, what you could try, what you could experiment with. And so I think they're angels on earth.
They are. And I like to view it as they are someone that can help you see the patterns that are keeping you stuck, right? Because if you don't deal with that inner child, and that's one of the lessons I've learned in therapy that we'll get into. Andrew and I are going to share our biggest lessons and takeaways in hopes that inspires you to keep going with therapy, or to bring up certain topics, or to try therapy for the first time, and we'll set you up for success with how to do that. But working on this inner child, if you don't go back to the root, you are just perpetuating this cycle that is keeping you stuck, keeping you feeling how you don't want to feel. And yes, you can mask with alcohol, you can mask with shopping, like any behavior that isn't serving you in the long run. It may be giving you that immediate sense of gratification. But what if you keep doing this in the long term? Where are you going to end up? So although it's uncomfortable, it's scary, most good things are.
Yeah. And then you can learn from them, right? Mm-hmm. If you want to be a parent or you're already a parent, it's never too late to help your relationships out. Like I think about my parents, right? They went through a divorce and it was messy at first, but now they have this beautiful relationship. And I feel like my relationship with my parents has never been stronger and healthier. And, I think you always have an opportunity to improve your relationships, right? Like because you made mistakes in the past does not define your future with your family. And so I think sometimes you think you're going to stir up something and make it worse. But in reality, I think open conversations about mistakes and then having some repair helps you respect your parents more or your siblings or your partner, whoever it is. It's almost like creating some resolve to the conflict that just like, it's still there. You haven't created the closure that you need on it.
And you're still suffering, right? And what therapy and all this work I've done on myself has really taught me is that suffering is a choice. The pain, it's inevitable. But how I choose to view the situation is something that I can control. And it sounds so simple. And I feel like once you do that work, you realize I'm only causing myself pain. It was so freeing for me to forgive. And it wasn't saying I accept the pain that you brought on me, but I'm choosing to not let this affect my nervous system. And my emotional home is no longer anxiety, fear, worry, being scared of being abandoned in my future. It's that complete ownership of your life and in a sense, reparenting yourself. And it's not to say that it was your parents to blame, but it's that we all have an inner child. We all have a 7-year-old that needs something from us, that sense of security. And it's the truth that we can only meet our needs.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's crucial when you're thinking about this or like hearing us talking about our parents. It's like it's like you're set up for failure no matter what as a parent. Like you are never going to meet all the emotional needs of your kids. And I will have to say that over and over for myself and for every parent listening. You cannot meet all of their emotional needs. Your parents could not meet all of your emotional needs. It's not possible. And I do think we need to address mistakes and we do need to address trauma and, abandonment and all of these things. But it's not to make anybody feel bad. It's to help ourselves feel safe and secure in our own emotional home and know that we're going to continue to make mistakes as parents. And it's part of our kids' journey, right? To not have every need met. If it was you'd be just like a baby, like, you know what I mean? Like the rest of your life, like they need to learn how to thrive on their own in certain situations or not get what they need and advocate for themselves and speak up. My son feels like he hasn't, like, I'm not hearing him. He'll be like, I don't feel like you're hearing what I'm saying, and it's impossible to be perfect. And so I'm reminding myself of that. But nobody's emotional needs are ever going to fully be met. And that's why therapy is so important because we need to talk about how it's affecting us in our life, how we're feeling, how it's affecting our productivity, how it's affecting our self-worth, all these things. Like we are made to thrive and therapists are there to help you thrive, right? To just, even if you're not in a super low time, to talk with someone about what's really important to you and what you want to prioritize. Maybe what's holding you back a little bit, or just to like have someone hear you,
verbally process what's going on and help you see how those thoughts, how that thought pattern is affecting how you feel. Because until you verbalize it, until you get it out of your body, you don't even know, you're not even aware of really what's going on in your head. And I think that was a huge eye-opening experience with therapy. Was like, oh, I have some dark thoughts. Oh, like I am causing myself to feel this way based on what is on autopilot and repeat in my brain.
Yeah, and as we talk a lot about important questions, therapists ask you important questions. So let's talk about the big lessons we've learned from therapy. What have you talked through with a therapist and what are your biggest lessons?
Yeah, I think the first one I already said, right, was even just discovering I had this inner child in me and going back to that inner child. Like, whew, that was so emotional. And realizing through that what needs I wasn't meeting myself. You know, it was like that, releasing all that pain, all that hurt that I didn't have, letting it go. And then thinking, okay, right now, my adult self, what am I missing? And it was like the self-care of my thoughts, of resting, taking a break, like uncovering these limiting beliefs that work and productivity equals success, and that I have to work harder to feel better, and that my worth is tied into my productivity. So really the inner child, and then the limiting beliefs I had that were not meeting the needs of my inner child, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and you've said before in the podcast that how you would get your dad's attention would be by performing, being like having a game or getting great grades, being the valedictorian. You're like, maybe he'll show up if I do these things. And so uncovering that child was doing that and you're still doing it, you're still holding on to that behavior because it's all you know, because it kept you being seen and heard.
And I think it made me feel better in the moment, right? Of like, even if it wasn't getting his attention, it was still this like pat on the back from myself of like, oh, I may not have a dad, but at least I'm valedictorian. Oh, I may not have a dad, but at least I'm recognized for being on the dance team, you know, as a freshman or whatever it was growing up. Like it was achievement, work. And it got that way even to college, and then developed, you know, a handful of parasites and fun things that really just shut my body down. But I couldn't fully heal until I did address that core trauma. And within that, you know, I said slowing down, rewiring these limiting beliefs, it was through the practice of journaling. And I don't think I really appreciated or fully took on that practice until therapy, because it was like in between sessions, what was I doing? Okay, well, it felt really good to get these thoughts out of my body. And I felt that in sessions with my therapist once a week. But in between, I needed to do something. And so I try and journal every day. And when I do, and when I have been doing it for a while, I feel so clear-headed. You know, I learned your brain and your mind is not a notepad. Get that shit out. Get those thoughts, those emotions fully out of you. Like emotions are just energy in motion. And when I learned that, like things in motion, okay, they stay in motion. So these thoughts, let them fully pass you, go through your body, whether it's verbally talking them out or writing them down. It's such a powerful tool that I will forever thank therapy for that. So I would say my biggest 3 lessons from doing therapy, number 1 was that there's a little girl in me that has needs that only I can meet. The second one would be getting your emotions out of you, whether it's talking to someone or journaling. And that's my last one, is the practice of journaling, how therapeutic and powerful that is. To do that regularly, every day is what I try and do.
I love it. I'm proud of you. I think that's amazing. And you're like, for anybody that's new, Brooke is 10 years younger than me. And so when she has these epiphanies or learns these lessons at this age, I'm just like so happy for her life, because it's like she's going to go into parenting knowing these things, you know, because sometimes you don't learn them until you're in your 40s or 50s or later. You know, we're always learning. And so these are just some like pivotal things you're learning. And I'm just proud of you.
I think the Lord, thank you. I think the Lord's like, I got a lot to teach you, girl. So we're going to start at a young age.
All right, my 3 big lessons from therapy are very different than yours. I think they're more like technical, in that I was taught like 3 big like hit home lessons. My therapist, Marcy, was all about boundaries when I first started with her. And I feel like I'm pretty good with boundaries. Like I've always had very high standards for myself, or been like, ooh, I don't like the way he's talking to me, I'm not dating him. Or you know what I mean? Like I've had that, but she shifted my thought on boundaries. And as I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the Boundary Boss book.
Such a good book plug.
Yeah. We had Terry Cole on the podcast and she rocked our world with boundaries. Anyway, she made me think of boundaries in such a different way.
What if we told you you could reset your metabolism and transform your mind and body in just 30 days?
For the first time ever, we're giving you full access to the metabolism reset tools we swear and live by.
When you make the investment in yourself and join us for a Sculpted Summer, our virtual program, June 1st to June 30th, you'll receive the motivation, accountability, and tools to take care of yourself all summer long.
not to mention helping you get in the best mental and physical shape of your life.
Here's what to expect. This program is broken down into 3 phases to allow you to slowly build foundational habits around exercise, sleep, stress management, and nutrition.
A sculpted summer consists of a daily plan along with efficient workouts, easy recipes, our meal planning template, sleep hacks, and our best strategies to cultivate inner peace.
You'll get access to Move, our virtual fitness platform where you'll have no equipment needed workouts, including strength workouts, yoga workouts, Pilates, workouts Monday through Saturday, and a mandatory rest Sunday.
Along with that, you'll have daily motivational videos to help you keep the promises you made to yourself at the beginning of this challenge.
This is a detailed science-backed program focusing on key wellness habits that are time efficient and will reset you for summer.
For 30 days, you'll have accountability and support from both of us, along with our whole community of like-minded, badass women.
All fitness levels are encouraged to join. We start June 1st. Don't miss out on the transformation of a lifetime.
To learn more and secure your spot, visit goldivyhealthco.com/shop. Spots for a sculpted summer are limited, and registration closes May 31st at 11:59 p.m. So act now and let's kick off this summer strong. Vulnerable story alert. This message is for any person struggling with the embarrassment of excessive underarm sweating and or underarm odor. I've never shared this before, so bear with me. I am a big sweater. I swear I sweat when I think. I used to carry deodorant in my purses, car, backpacks. I did not go anywhere without deodorant, and I applied it dozens of times a day. I haven't been able to wear colorful t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, or sweatshirts since I was 16 due to excessive underarm sweating. And recently, one of my armpits started to smell like onions anytime it sweat. See, I told you this is a vulnerable message, but I wanted to let you know about a treatment I found that has changed my life. This treatment is called miraDry and is for your underarms that greatly reduces sweating and odor. I have had one treatment so far, and I am a new woman. I can officially wear colored shirts without pit stains for the first time in decades, and my armpits no longer smell. I also no longer wear deodorant. I simply don't need it. miraDry uses thermal energy that targets and eliminates the sweat glands in your underarm. Let me repeat that. You just need 1 to 2 treatments. It is the only FDA-cleared treatment that can dramatically reduce underarm sweat by addressing the root cause of excessive sweat and its accompanying odor, not the symptoms. So if you're like me and have had to worry about pit stains from your sweat, excessive sweating even when resting, or planning your day around sweating, miraDry is your solution. Not only has miraDry erased my sweat problem, but also my armpit hair. I used to have to shave every single day. I am walking proof that miraDry works. Once the glands are eliminated, they will not grow back. I absolutely love my miraDry experience, and it was made affordable with a no-interest payment plan. You can find a clinic that provides miraDry all over the U.S., so head to miraDry.com to see where the closest location is for you, and don't wait another minute feeling embarrassed about your body. And they have these wonderful patient concierges who will answer all your underarm questions about the treatment. Thank you for letting me share this vulnerable information with you. I am walking proof that miraDry is a life-changing treatment. Nobody should be embarrassed about their bodies, period. And if you want more information, miraDry services will be linked in the show notes, and you can also message me directly to chat more about it. Now back to the show. Where she was saying, like, your boundaries allow you to be yourself. They don't make you mean. They don't make you a bitch. They don't make you bossy. They make you and allow you to be yourself, where you can feel safe to be who you are. And in turn, you will have more to give. You will be more loving. You will be more generous because you feel safer. And your boundaries can change with time, right? But in the moment, what do you need to set up for yourself? Whether it's around your time, your space, your energy, what conversations you're having, what you're allowing to have around your children. And for me, I realized like a big indicator would be my body. Like if someone's crossing a boundary with me, I would start to like notice by turning inward of like, oh, I feel like I'm kicked in the stomach. When I feel like I'm kicked in the stomach, that's my cue something's off here and I am in charge of creating the boundaries so it doesn't happen again. Or if it happens again, I know what I'm going to do next, right? Like we will not be there. We will remove ourselves if you say this around our kids. I will leave at this time. And regardless of what you say to me, I'm leaving at this time, whatever it may be. And so I love that idea of knowing like boundaries are for love. They are for more connection and people will feel more connected to you because you won't be in an anxious, resentful state. You will be in a calm, loving state where you can have true connection with people because they're honoring what's important to you. And if they're constantly stepping over this line and this boundary that whether you've said it or not, you're like, it feels like they don't respect me. It feels like they don't care how I feel. But do they know how you feel? And until you establish that boundary, then you know if they've crossed the line or not. But if they don't know what the line is, they might not know they're crossing it, right? And so it's taking ownership of what do I need to set up? And I would say I'm pretty good at that. I think I'm really trying to be like softer in it where I am safe. Like I'm around people that I'm safe. Like I don't have to assume someone's trying to hurt me. They might just not know what I need, right? Like my husband says to me all the time, like, I cannot read your mind, right? And so I've taken that, because when he said it to me, like, of course he can't read my mind, but I assume that he should be able to.
I'd like you to be able
Right.
to. Well, maybe not.
I've been with him for 16 years, but like, I still haven't, you haven't figured out how to read my mind? Yeah. And so it's like that with anyone. Like I can't expect you to know what I'm thinking and feeling and that you're upsetting me. Like I need to, if I love you and I want more connection with you, I need to express it in a loving, gentle way, but firm in knowing exactly what that line is.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you said it feels like a kick in the stomach, right? Body awareness, somatic cues of our body is sending us signals that, hey, something is off. And that's really what therapy taught me too, is like, you got to listen to those signals. I was so past listening to my body that I was like, everything hurts. I don't know. And it's like, whoa, maybe if I slow down to be able to tune in to what my body is trying to tell me, like those emotions are being poured through you by body cues. So that's how you know a boundary needs to be set, even if it's with yourself, right? For me, it was like, don't drink. This makes you feel like crap. You need a boundary, and that boundary is self-love. But for the longest time, it was restriction. It was, I can't have this. I have to be the odd one out that can't have this food or drink, and it sucked. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I need that boundary because I'm hurting. And if I pour into that 7-year-old self or, whatever, however you want to view it, it's like, oh, I wouldn't feel so bad. So I just wanted to call out that those body cues that told you, hey, a boundary needs to be put in place.
And I think too, when people are like, how do I know when I should set one? I think it's when you're having ruminating thoughts about things, like you're having that same feeling over and over, or that resentment all the time, or you're not even with the person you need to set the boundary with, but you're constantly thinking about them, or you're troubleshooting the next time. Like that's a cue. And I always like resources, and my therapist, Marcy, gave me the book recommendation, Boundaries, by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. And the book was life-changing because it included Bible verses. Because a lot of times when you're a Christian, you think you need to give, and you need to be so nice. And if you're going to set boundaries, you're going to be mean and selfish, right? And there were some quotes from the book that I took that really, really helped me. And this book is a game changer along with Boundary Boss. But one of the quotes was around appropriate boundaries. And the quote is, appropriate boundaries don't control, attack, or hurt anyone. They simply prevent your treasures from being taken at the wrong time.
Ooh, treasures.
Yes. And it's so true. It's just like you can't be your fun, beautiful, vibrant self when you feel like you're angry and resentful and you feel unsafe. And so if you need 2 suggestions on boundary setting where you can have ideas and support and encouragement to help yourself and your family out and the future generations, like if you're not good at setting boundaries and you're a parent, then your kids are going to struggle with it, right? And so getting educated about this and knowing this is about creating more connection and being able to advocate for yourself that boundaries are crucial. So that was my first lesson.
And another plug, Haley McGee, who we just spoke with. She talks all about boundaries. I feel like these resources are just coming. They always have, right? They come into your life at the perfect point when you're ready. There's a quote that the teacher will appear when the student is ready to learn. And I think about that with Terry Cole, Haley, like check her out on Instagram. I think it's Haley Page McGee. And she's a great follow.
Yeah, she is. My next lesson in therapy is something I'm learning right now.
Ooh.
It's really intriguing. So my therapist is Black and I'm white. And so along with that, I am learning so much about how our lives, our culture, our experiences in the world are very different. And so I learn about my own life and her life, and it's really intriguing. And something she's talking about a lot are like social norms, social classes, just how we experience the world differently. So one thing I'm working on with her is my struggle to be this parent I want to be. What that means. And again, I cannot talk about this without crying anytime I talk about my kids. But what I struggle with is knowing I could always do better. Like I could have been kinder. I could have been nicer. I could have been softer. I could know more about this. I could have been more organized. I could have planned this. I could have X, Y, fill in the blank. And so she'll stop me and she'll be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Is that the role that you want to play in this household? Is that what you want to be focused on? You know, she'll ask me all kinds of questions. But one thing she really brought up and brought to light is that my husband and I are entrepreneurs and we have corporate jobs and we're trying to parent, right? And she's like, listen up. You are in the middle class. And as much as that is great and fortunate for you, it's the toughest class to be in when it comes to being a parent sometimes because lower class has services available, right? They have services that are available to give them more money to help them with groceries or daycare or whatever. And then upper class has help because they can hire an extra nanny or assistant or someone to drive their kids somewhere or you name it. So they have more time and capacity to rest, spend time with their kids, have a clean home, whatever it may be. She's like, you're in the middle and you're smart enough because you're educated to know that you need to be emotionally available and that you know how to make more money and you know that you could probably fill your time with figuring out how to do that. And so you're constantly thinking about more you could do and you're smart enough to do that and you do not qualify for the services to help you out. So she's like, you're working extra hard. And that's not to take away from anybody in any other class. So she's like, as you know, being in the middle class, you are aware of what you're capable of. You're aware of all of these organizations and activities your kids could be doing, like competitive dance. It's over $300 a month for me to have a kid doing one activity and I have 3 kids, right? And so in order for that to happen and not go into debt, we have to work harder. We have to take on extra jobs. And so she's just like basically painting the picture of whatever class you're in, there are challenges being a parent, but you are very aware of that you need to be emotionally available and what your kids could be involved in. And it just feels like more and more and more like the possibilities of being a parent are endless and endless and endless. And you are not able to have the services or help
or time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's just giving me a lot of grace with that. She's like, wow, okay, your kid's going to be just fine. She's like, have you heard about good enough parenting? Because you're doing great, sweetie. And I just need that right now.
Yeah.
I need it because I always do feel like, and I know I could be doing a better job because I'm an imperfect human and they will always have needs I'm not meeting. And it's a hard thing to accept.
Yeah. It's like how to accept that and give yourself compassion when the human in you is like, I could do better. I should be doing better. It's the shooting on yourself.
Yeah.
You are unlearning that it's okay to be good enough.
But at the same time, I'm recording podcasts on parent wounds and people that have taken their own life. And I know that it stems from their childhood when they're around 7. And I have a 10, an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. Like part of me is like, put the pressure on yourself. What you're doing is shaping them and giving them that emotional home. So I want to take it seriously.
Yeah.
It's just that balance of like taking it seriously, but then also just allowing myself to have some grace and then just admit when I made a mistake and those types of things. Like it's just a tough balance.
It's like, what is the healthy pressure? And only you can learn that. You know, the fact that we are speaking with people who are talking about these heavy topics, it makes you aware. I think that's the biggest piece of a parent is being aware that you are emotionally available. And that sets you up, I think, way better than good enough.
Yeah. One example just for parents, if you are hard on yourself, the other day, my son was super frustrated with me because he tried to talk with me when I was talking with somebody else. And I said, hold on a second. Like, I'm talking to somebody else. And he was saying, you don't give me that same respect. If I'm talking with you and an adult interrupts us, you turn to the adult. And I was like, great point. And all I said to him was like, Griffin, I'm sorry. I make a mistake. I am not a perfect human. I make mistakes. And he instantly let it go and like had grace for me. I think sometimes it's just being like, I'm just going to say that more. Like, I'm so sorry that I did that to you, but I'm doing my best, man. Mm-hmm. Like, I really am. I'm really trying my hardest to like be a great mom, but I'm going to keep messing up.
Well, you're being honest and you're showing them that it's important to you, that you are trying.
Yeah.
Right. Like, again, that awareness, you're showing them like, all right, I know I'm aware that this isn't happening how you want it to happen, but I'm trying, please.
And your feelings do matter to me.
Yes.
Yes. I think that's the biggest thing is like, I hear what you're saying and it matters to me, but I'm not going to always do it right. Mm-hmm. But like, I will circle back and I will be here for you. So that's like my current lesson I'm learning. And it's tough.
Yeah. Letting them know they can always come to you.
Mm-hmm.
That you are a safe place.
Yeah. And then my last lesson is just with both coaching and therapy, I think there's a difference. Mm-hmm. I think coaching is very forward thinking. It's not, therapy is going into the past and digging up and then learning why you are the way you are and then moving forward. But I think coaching is very much from
strategize.
Yeah. It's very much forward thinking. Okay. How are we going to show up? How are we going to change our mindset? How are we going to whatever? But with both of them, I've realized everything is a mirror. Everything is a reflection. If someone's pissing me off, it's because there's something in them that I hate about myself. And I'm like, oh, they're doing the thing that I also do.
Which I never understood that concept.
Yeah.
Until I really became in tune with my emotions, the thoughts I was thinking, like fully knowing me inside and out and like what I needed to work on and owning that. And I'm like, oh, I am upset because of me.
Yeah. You have to set your ego aside. And I think sometimes that's hard to understand, like that concept. But when you set your ego aside, it's like you're just taking the shield off for a second. So whether you're journaling about it or talking with a therapist, but like you're taking this armor off to be like, okay, inside, I also feel like I'm not good at that, or I struggle with that, or I used to do that and I never want to get back to that. But it does identify something in you. Catherine, our coach, one time said, if something bothers you, it's because something in you identifies with it. Because if you didn't, it wouldn't affect you. You wouldn't even care about that statement. She was like, if I called you a lesbian right now, would you get upset and start crying? I was like, no. She's like, because you're not a lesbian. But if I called you selfish, maybe you would get a little bit defensive and you would think of ways that you're not selfish to say to me. But if you set your ego aside, you could probably find some ways that she never said that to me, but it's like
an example,
right? Where if you're getting defensive about something and you're getting worked up and it bothers you, it's because there's something that's unhealed in you. There's something in you that needs some tending to. And the only way you can help it is to love on it. Instead of beating yourself up that you feel selfish sometimes, or you're not good at XYZ or whatever it may be, that needs some love and grace and attention. And when you can do that, then you can give that grace, love, and attention to the person that you're upset with about the thing, right? Because you're clearly connecting to something. It's a mirror. It's a reflection. And that concept, I think, can go way over your head. But I think just start noticing, like, why is that bothering me so much? What is it that's bothering me? What is it in me that it's triggering? And if you can't figure it out, that's why therapists exist. They will help you figure out why it's bothering you, because you want to get to a place of peace, right? We all do. And that's what a therapist is for. They want you to feel at peace, relaxed, calm. So when anybody's around you, they can say literally anything on the planet to you. It doesn't work you up anymore because you know who you are. You're carrying on the inner child. You're taking good care of yourself. You're calming down. You're not reacting. You're taking a minute to respond, right? And it's just practice, and it's really self-love, and then leaning on the people that love you as you're in the process of evolving.
Yeah. And it's work, right? Like they call it work for a reason, How to Do the Work by Nicole Apera, the holistic psychologist on Instagram. And it's such a good book. And I think if you're not ready for therapy, right, you can look at this in phases of self-growth, right? Start educating yourself, expanding your awareness, learning about these things that we're talking about. Books, we mentioned a handful. Buy one. Make that time in your schedule to read. With therapy, if talking to someone verbally, face-to-face, stresses you out, that's why we are obsessed with BetterHelp, because you can chat. There's a chat feature. You can switch therapists if you don't find one you connect with, because building rapport and having that connection with a therapist is so important. So if this tickles your fancy and you want to try therapy, which again, we cannot advocate it for enough, go to betterhelp.com/GOLDIVY for a discount code, and they will walk you through the steps of getting paired with a therapist. It's a short survey. I've done it. I loved my experience with BetterHelp, and it can't hurt. It's only going to get better. There's also a few other resources that we wanted to share with you. Psychology Today website is a great resource. If it is an emergency and you need mental health help, 988 is now the official crisis line for mental health. So have that, memorize it. It's not hard to memorize, but have that in your back pocket if you do need it.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And, these are vulnerable stories of ours and what we're learning, but it sets us free. Us sharing what we're doing. It's also accountability, like, oh man.
Well, that's what I think of therapy too, right? It's, yes, you can read the books, but when you have someone that you are reporting back to, and don't necessarily view it like that, but someone that you're coming back to, it is accountability. And it's accountability in you taking care of yourself. And it's silly to think that we need that, but in our world today, we need it now more than ever.
Yeah.
And a healed world starts with healing yourself. When you are better, the people around you are better, and it is a total world transformation. So start with you. Start freeing yourself. And as always, we're going to give you some 3 gold stars.
All right. Number 1, write down what topic you would find helpful to discuss with a trained mental health professional if you had a therapy session coming up.
Number 2, check out BetterHelp or a therapist in your insurance network to learn more.
And number 3, start noticing your body cues and what they're trying to tell you. Just notice. You don't have to this isn't homework. Just start to notice when you're feeling and where that feeling's coming from so that you can start to do something about it.
Such a good one. And your piece of gold is from the one and only Brené Brown. When we're living in our integrity, we're strengthened by the self-respect that comes from the honoring of our boundaries rather than being flattened by disappointment and resentment.
This is GOLDIVY signing off.
Listen to your truth and go chase your gold.